You're listening to Defying Society and Embracing Faith with Holly and Marisa.
We will be discussing societal norms and how it relates to our faith.
Yeah.
How are you today?
Well, we're doing good. I'm
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
We had to take a minute because I said Travis Kelce and you said Travis Kelce. And then I was like, wait a minute. And I didn't even know it was an issue because that's just how I thought his name was said. And you also thought it was Kelce. And I guess even the brothers have discussions on podcasts of how it's pronounced.
There's like a debate. Yeah.
Even football players on the sidelines debate it. I did not know this.
I didn't know that either. So we started talking about Travis. I'm going to say Kelce.
I'll say Kelce. That's fine.
And the ridiculous, we're going to start talking about how ridiculous it is right now with the drama focusing on the Super Bowl with this Travis Swift phenomenon and Kelce and
Swift.
Yeah, it's Travis. Travis. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift, although she could be a Travis if you look at her.
And her Adam's apple.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. That's a different discussion.
Yeah.
But I just feel like I don't know, I posted something about it on Instagram. You and I made a reel basically saying, be nice to everybody, even though they're Travis Swift. I keep saying that. Taylor Swift fans.
Yeah.
Which I was never a Taylor Swift fan to begin with. Yeah. I think all her music is very, very annoying. I listen to it with the kids. I appreciate she's a good artist and she's very successful with what she does. Mm-hmm. And good girls must love it. And I don't see it. But you know what? I've never been that kind of person that was like, would ever put any kind of superstar artist, player, whoever on any kind of pedestal. Yeah.
Well, I lost it with her. I'm not really a music fan anyways. Mm-hmm. Like once, I was always like into hip hop and rap when I was growing up, to be honest with you. But I'm not like a big music person. But I remember when she took a political stance and like she did that documentary. It was like a film or a movie, and then it was like a documentary of her behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, it was so ridiculous. Like she made this big episode out of her posting something political, and like it was this. And I understand if you're a celebrity and you post something, it has to be kind of thoughtful. Yeah. But it was like this big deal, and I'm like, oh my God, what she says matters that much.
It does.
It's this, and I'm like, this is so stupid. And I just feel like it was like kind of sad to like watch and think that this is who people look up to even then. Mm-hmm. And then she's really gone through the roof, lately with her, tour and all that stuff, and like younger, whatever my daughter's generation would obviously be fans. My kids aren't really into anybody that much. I'm not dealing with.
First of all, I don't think you would allow it.
No,
I don't think you would allow it. And I think it kind of starts there too, is like, my mom, she never really like pushed me into any kind of like corner as far as, who to idolize or who to like look up to as far as like a superstar. Like, I just think it's so, my opinion, I think it's dumb. I think it's stupid.
It probably really is dumb for us now because we have our own opinions on the worldly things.
Yeah.
If you try to think back to being a child, you could see how it happens.
Yeah.
It is weird.
But I just feel like it should be nipped in the bud.
Yeah.
From a parent, as an adult, like you should know, you should be, through all your tough times, never once look up to a celebrity to get you through anything. You know, like why would you look up to them to influence you with how you want your hair done, your nails, your clothing, or the way you act?
They put it all out there. And
it's just, I don't know. To me, it's just sad to see a generation just basically. It makes me feel like you can't think for yourself. If you feel like this person has that much of an influence on you, where they could even potentially like sway how you vote politically.
They definitely.
And it's actually been proven now. I mean, that there's been like all those different surveys that are out saying that she can potentially sway 18% of voters and which way they're going to vote. It's just, that's kind of scary to me because I think that that speaks a lot.
Well, there's a lot to be said on the topic of musicians, and particularly Taylor Swift, depending on what kind of rabbit hole you want to go down.
Yeah, so which one do you want to
do? Man, have you ever seen that meme where it compares her picture to Napoleon Dynamite?
Yes, I think I should share that to you. That's my favorite meme.
I just remember being in I was visiting family in Charlotte, and this was a while ago, and everybody was like so impressed with one of her latest songs that was like uplifting women, and I'm just like looking at like the girls going crazy for her, like my little nieces and like my girls, and I'm like, this is so stupid, so ridiculous. But I'm trying not to like say anything. And then that night I happened to be like, looking, and I remember sending it to my sister-in-law, and she was cracking up, but it's identical.
It is.
So do yourself a favor and look up Taylor Swift Napoleon Dynamite memes, because you'll never look at her the same. I think after that I was done.
Yeah.
She's a big woman. People don't realize.
She's very tall.
Taller than the average female. I mean, I'm barely 5'9" anymore, but that's tall, on the tall end of being tall. But when you pass that point, it's very rare to have a female that tall.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just mentioning that, and a prominent neckline.
Yes. And something bulging out of the neck.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of that going on.
There could be. Yeah.
I don't know. We don't know. So that's one thing. Also, her family background. Have you ever seen pictures of her parents?
No.
She does not look like them at all.
No?
No, but she looks an awful lot like
Napoleon.
No, besides Napoleon, is it Ante Levine or whatever? Who's the Church of Satan leader?
Oh, I think I did see something about that floating around.
Yeah.
And how she looks just like that.
The daughter.
I think it's the queen or something. Or
she was like the princess of the Church of Satan. Let me look it up for you if you. Anyway, so that's another one to look up if you want to go down a couple rabbit holes. You've had to have seen that.
I'm sure I did.
I think that's his name. Yeah. Oh, here it is. It pops right up on the Googles.
Oh, look at that, Google.
If you, so he is the founder of the Church of Satan, author of the Satanic Bible. LaVey, Anton LaVey. It's going to Adam Levine. So weird. Okay, here it is. Look at that.
Yeah, see if you can show the camera. Do you think it'll pick up on here?
I want to know what her name is. Which of Anton LaVey's daughters is more attractive is the title. Her name is Zena.
Yeah. Okay,
so do you think it'll show?
Yes.
Hang on, there's ones where it's like crazy identical. So if you haven't gone down that rabbit hole, I definitely recommend it. It's definitely worth your time. Not sure how well these are coming in, but let me just show you one more. This is crazy.
Oh yeah, that one. Sure.
Come on. Yeah. All right. So there's a little bit of there's some good Taylor Swift rabbit holes to go down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Once they start, okay, so I am a sports fan. Have been. I grew up in a soccer family, but I didn't play soccer. But like being involved in sports was always like a thing in my home, in our community where I grew up. In our schools, elementary through high school, we went to like a Division I, high school where like football was life. Friday Night Lights. We were all fans. You'd always support the different, basketball, football, whatever.
Yeah.
I enjoy watching sports. I don't even have, it doesn't even have to be my kid. When your son starts playing sports, I will be going to his games when I'm because I enjoy it. I think it's fun. I especially like going to kids' games because it's more pure. But my husband tells me I ruined sports for him forever. He's also a big sports guy. He grew up in South Africa, but it was a lot of like rugby, cricket. But he would always be watching golf, the swimming, soccer, whatever. He would be watching it. And then he said, I ruined it because because I've been watching sports a lot my whole life, I notice little things about calls and things like that. And I'm like, And then as it gets more intense, I just started noticing that there was just a lot of fuckery going on. And then I would mention it while I was watching, and then he'd be like, dude, So then I just started going like, you know, and I don't want to be obnoxious. I still like to watch. I'll still go to a basketball game. Went to a Cavs game last year and it was very theatrical. It was more like, and I love my Cavs. I love basketball, but it was more like Harlem Globetrotter.
An experience.
You know, it was a show.
It wasn't just like we're going there to watch a game. You're going there to be entertained.
It was very much entertainment. It was like, I don't want to go as far as saying the Globetrotters, but like you could almost tell like when they changed the music, suddenly there was a routine that they had practiced that they were going down the court to. You know, it was weird. It was, and I was like telling my brother, I'm like, you see, because he was, my brother's a crazy sports fan. Okay. So then I went to one recently that wasn't that bad, actually. That was like not as bad as the previous. So I don't know. And then I did just recently listen to a gentleman on the Instagram. I'm gonna sound like my parents. The Instagram, Larry Johnson or whatever. He talks about football being. Football's another one, but you know, football being in the beginning and at the end of the games. They say this is a presentation of the National Football League. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
And I'm like, oh, presentation, like, you know, you're coming out of the. Sorry. I always thought it's all hard to pick back in the camera. If you want to do a video, you got to be in it. So that just kind of can ruin it for some people, but also for those of us who are awake and we know we shouldn't be living our life for those things. It kind of puts it into perspective. Like having kids in sports too, you're like, I still want you to play. It's discipline. It's healthy. It's fun. You know, and so I'm not going to say, oh, everything's fake, and, you know, it's fixed, because I think up until a certain point, it's very pure. Yeah. And then it starts getting, you know, collegiate is kind of getting funny now too. But
not only that, like, you know, because you are the one that always calls out like it being rigged or fixed or whatever. And like, I've never been like a sports person. I've never gotten into sports.
You were a dancer.
I was always a dancer, but like my husband's really into sports. And so he'll put on, you know, whatever's Cavs game, football game, and I don't pick up on any of that because I don't really pay attention. What I don't like now about sports or even like going to these games is just how political they've gotten.
Yeah,
entirely. Like even if he puts on the football games on the back of all their helmets, it says, you know, BLM, Black Lives Matter, or you know, stop racism, or you know, it's like, why are really like this is a football game? Like, why are we making this into like some kind of like political outreach? And then like I think that all kind of started. Well, and I think that all started with what's that one guy who kneeled for the national anthem? Yeah. And wasn't speaking of Kelsey, didn't he also do the same thing? I think he was one of those. I think he did. Which I mean, I wouldn't be surprised considering who sponsors this puppet now.
Yeah, so this is the thing. Well, this is where I was going to go with everything I was saying too. As soon as they started the dating thing started getting promoted, because my kids were all like, I think my daughters were all like, "Oh, did you hear?" And I'm like, "She's going to the Super Bowl." Yeah, I literally said, "There's she's going to the Super Bowl" when it started, and Pete's like, you know, we were kind of joking around. I'm like, clearly,
how could it not?
She's involved because this is going somewhere.
Exactly.
Okay, now he's this pawn in this big shit show that we call clown show.
Mr. Pfizer.
Well, that's
a whole other thing too.
Yeah, that was when did that happen? When
that was the beginning. That was before even the playoffs. He was getting sponsorships from Pfizer, and he would do commercials for the flu and the Pfizer vaccine. So we have
watch your words.
Sorry. So we have Big Pharma also paying him, and God knows who else. And I think,
and he's so likable. He's so likable.
Well, and that's why I know.
And he's local. Like these are Cleveland guys, you know. So everyone over here.
Well, I mean, like, and that's the thing I think too is that you have to like sit there and raise an eyebrow. It's like they're both white heterosexual couples. Like, why is that being promoted?
Because why aren't they toxic?
Exactly. I thought the last thing I thought
maybe because they aren't heterosexual. Maybe because
because technically Travis is Taylor.
We don't know.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But like we're now promoting a healthy quote unquote relationship. I don't think it's freaking real. And I think, and honestly, like I keep seeing all this like stuff on Facebook because people are bashing the relationship, and we have the Swiftie fans who are being like, well, she worked so hard to be at all those games and she's supporting her boyfriend.
Yeah, they make it about supporting. Why is it bad that she's supporting her man?
It's I don't know if I'm more annoyed at the fact that like these people are like that ignorant to like what's actually going on, or if they actually believe that that's a real relationship, or if they
of course they do. But why would you try to put your mindset into the masses? You know that's
because people are that ignorant and they don't understand that there is always something bigger behind what everything that we see is an illusion.
Yeah, but people don't know that.
But like I can literally spell it all out and they'll be like, oh, you know, let's just,
because you're not going to want to. I mean, you don't want.
It's a hard pill to swallow, but I'm telling you, like once you swallow that pill, like it's like
so. What do you? The agenda behind it would be. We know that the masses idolize, right? So we idolize the individual celebrity. We idolize the sports. So these are two totally different things. So I look at it, we could cover both, but I look at it like we idolize this. Well, let's cover the celebrity first. Okay, not the sport. Because we could cover celebrity and say whether it's a famous musician, a sports athlete, an actress, whatever it is, or presidents, politics, whatever. We idolize these figures. Okay.
And is it because we're missing something? Are we
because they're in our face? Yeah. Because we've been put in front of television for I don't know how many years now, which was the perfect tool to get you totally zoned out and brainwash you to see the images that they want you they want you to see. No,
they is a real thing. No, we're not crazy. They is a real thing.
So the powers that be need us to see certain things so they could market. So that, they can market us whatever it is they want.
And influence us to think a certain way and act a certain way and talk a certain way.
You're not seeing commercials or shows or anything that's like promoting a healthy lifestyle, or gardening or, actually, playing with your kids in the backyard.
Speaking of gardening, did you see that that's actually, it's carbon emission problem now?
Did you see that? I didn't even. Okay. I didn't even go there because I'm like, this is so ridiculous. So ridiculous.
It's unhealthy for the garden.
You know what? We can make our own soil. Maybe they should be teaching people that.
Right.
You can just take all your trash and scraps and make your own soil. But no, let's just complain about whatever else. Thanks.
Sorry for taking me down.
Thanks for making me mad.
Sorry, I got you off track. We were talking about, so we were discussing how bad it is that we idolize other things because of being put in front of us to sway our influence.
To influence us, right? And that's,
they're not teaching us how to be healthy. They're not, during the whole pandemic, they could have been telling us how to exercise and eat right and take whatever kind of supplements we should be taking to help promote a healthier lifestyle.
No, more hand sanitizer and masks.
Oh, yeah. And make sure that you're Lysoling Amazon boxes before they bring them in. Like the most ridiculous things.
Yeah, that was
could have been.
I watched, DeWine on Tuesdays every week during that whole time, and he actually, I just did it just to see what was going on. He actually had someone on there that was teaching people how to wash their hands.
Dr. Amy
I was like, we have a woman on here showing us how to wash hands. People, if you don't know how to wash your hands at this stage, this is a problem.
Yeah, that's what they're talking about instead of actually how to become a healthier person.
Right. No, all the things you could do. So we have this. I took notes earlier today on some things that I thought were important, but even social media now, if you think about it, the influencers that are on there, like now they're kind of celebrity status and everything. They quite easily can sell out as well. So even the real people that you're following that,
they're being paid to post about whatever sweaters they want you to buy or whatever Stanley Cup they have that
and
day.
That's fine. Like if
it's fine.
You can make money doing that.
I mean, I even do it. I sell things on my stuff, but like
people will ask, oh, what is it that you're using for this? Oh, this is it. So you might as well make money on it. But totally different than.
Well, I'm not being bought out by any kind of like Satan worshiper. And I think this is where it gets dangerous is because the powers that be that end up funding all these different celebrities and all these different agendas are doing it for a different reason that people do not want to wake up to, as far as the evilness behind all of it,
the agenda,
keeping you away from, God and any kind of like healthy relationship that you could have.
Anything that distracts you from, your eternal, salvation versus like, your everyday life.
Well, just like, just the very fact of the distraction is, they put all these college and NFL football games on the weekends on the only days that like men have off really from work if they're working a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. The only time they put things on is like when everyone's off to watch it.
Right.
So it pulls, unfortunately pulls the cousins away from the family instead of actually doing like family time things. Like I just feel like it's now like, and that's just an example. Like, well, there's just so many things.
That's the start of it. But, I have children aging from 5 to almost 13 now. And local sports, travel sports, club sports, people are gone every weekend. Mm-hmm. If it's a holiday weekend, you're not doing holiday things on the holiday weekend. You're doing tournaments. Mm-hmm. We have not gone that far. The most that has taken our time the most was like travel basketball, but it was like local. It was not, people are paying a lot of money to do travel teams that take them out of state. And I'm thinking we don't have enough teams that are good enough to play within the state of Ohio that we have to actually leave. Now, I don't quite get it. I'm not there. I know like a lot of the baseball and, whatever, but these kids are young and I'm sure a lot of them love the sport. I'm not saying that the parents are forcing them, but it's not even that. It's the fact that I can testify to you right now that when everybody's doing and when everyone's schedule is filled and your kid loves the sport and everybody's playing it all the time and you're like, shit, if my kid doesn't play, are they going to be able to keep up? And then you start feeling like, shit, I better should I put them in that extra club? Should I put that in that extra training? Because I know they love it. I don't want them to not be able to play because everyone's so much better. That's where your head goes. And you're like, fortunately for us, financially, we're not going to be throwing all of our money out on, things like that. And my husband was, I think he started swimming competitively like at 12 or something, or maybe not even that young. And then he ended up swimming for his country and going to Olympic trials. He got a full ride scholarship to the United States. And he's like, I wasn't swimming since I was 5. You know what I mean? So that's an example of, I've even had cousins who their daughter never played volleyball, then tried out for the 8th grade team because she was so athletic. You know what I mean? So you don't have to play club when you're in 2nd grade.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? If you're a child and they love a sport, they'll catch up. Yeah. But now kids are just abusing their bodies. Parents are emptying their wallets. One parent's in Indiana while the other one's over here. You know what I mean? And that's just, if you look at if we're talking about what it's causing, it's like I'm idolizing this athlete, this sport, so that, and then my kid is doing the same, and then they think they have to do this in order to get here. You know what I mean? It's like,
I know
it's terrible.
It's a bad cycle, and it's hard to get out of.
Right.
Especially if you have that competitive bone in you. You know, like,
I mean, you can get really upset. I can get really physically upset when I watch a sport. Like, and I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Why am I so upset?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I just feel like it's a wake-up call for, like, all of us. So, I mean, like, everyone's idolizing something. I feel like these days,
so there's what? There's the sports.
There's the celebrities, the musicians.
There's the phones.
Like, the phone is a whole other record.
Yeah. There is social media.
Your work.
Your even your churches, your pastors. People idolize the pastors like they could do no wrong and everything they say is gold. And then when they get disappointed by them, then they become like disenchanted with God.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute. That was just a man representing, the word. That's it. He's just regurgitating what God already told us.
Right.
You can't be mad at God.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
If he did something wrong, he's a man, right?
Yeah.
You see it all the time. I know we tried a new church and we're enjoying it. And the first time we went, I ran into someone I knew who had a bad experience with a different church that I had gone to years ago. And then I walked away from that conversation like, almost concerned that I was in the wrong place.
Yeah, I remember.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I'm like, is that a sign that I shouldn't be? You know what I mean? How weird. That seed of doubt, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. Because humans, they disappoint.
Well, and I know, I see that a lot. People who don't like God or who don't like Jesus are usually hurt because of a church or somebody in the church and not Jesus.
Church, yeah.
But bringing it back down to the idol worshiping, I just feel like if we can give like our kids like a good solid foundation as to like why we shouldn't be idolizing Taylor Swift or Travis Kelce or a football game or a sport, and I think it's if we bring them back down to like why the Bible says it's not a good idea to do that, I think that would speak volumes. Like it says how many times in the Bible like we shouldn't be conforming to the world,
right?
And when we have teenagers who are like, oh, I want that same color that Taylor Swift has on her fingers because she's cool and I love her. Like, I just think that's like such a problem,
Well, what about the fact that a lot of these musicians, and I don't know how true it is because I haven't been to these live shows, but how many times this year have you heard of the satanic type performances people are putting on?
Yeah, well, even Taylor Swift. I just saw something online where it was like people don't remember her concerts after they've attended because she's doing satanic rituals and dances and chants. And who knows
what they're absorbing?
What that really is, Yeah.
And she's not the only one.
No, Sam Smith's another one, and these people are just.
What's that one Kylie Jenner's song? Baby Daddy,
Little Nas or
no,
Nas X or
no.
I don't know these people very so.
He was like a big thing where he did this big concert, people died, and then he did this big apology.
Oh, the weird looking Travis.
Yeah.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
And he's a real likable guy too. When you see videos of him, I'm like, oh, poor guy. Like, but then it's like,
I don't know, man. Have you seen these like other like people online will post like all those different like covers of albums and stuff like Madonna and it's turned a weird corner and these people who mock
she's always been
Jesus and which I know she's always been, pushing the envelope with every situation that she can get into. But now it's cool. And now like or quote unquote cool. I don't know. But like I just saw another one, somebody who was just like eating communion chips, like it's like just chips, or
and then he was like,
taking like shots. Yeah,
well, that might have been Little Nas X. I don't even know what the names are.
I don't know either.
So back in the day, okay, in Roman times, they built the Colosseum for that exact reason to entertain and distract. So you'll see anytime something political is going on, a huge celebrity or sports thing will,
distraction
will be like front page news, right? To distract you from what's going on. So I read something really actually good, almost like a definition of it. In ancient Rome, the Colosseum was used to entertain the citizens and distract them from social problems. The Colosseum was used for public executions, gladiator fights, and other bloody entertainment. The entertainment at the Colosseum helped to take citizens' minds off their social problems and provided them with a temporary escape from everyday life.
Yeah, it's what
we still go to the Colosseum. We still go to the Colosseum. If you think about it, we still go to our football stadiums, our amphitheaters, or whatever. Or we have it right in front of us now.
Well, now it's all televised.
Yeah,
and with that televised stuff is like extra bullshit, like the commercials and we'll go to this channel to watch whatever this is, or even all these different celebrities in the commercials.
Well, what about, remember when the Browns were in the playoffs? And I'm so sorry. I do love my Browns, but the NFL posted the Browns and their clothes. So the football, like the Browns don't ever make a big fashion statement when they're walking out, but they did.
Oh my God. Are you talking about when they were walking
with
in?
the purses?
Yes. I think you saw, I
posted, I'm like, nice purses. Yeah. And so a lot of dudes were like, what's going on, And then people were like, oh my gosh, like amazing. Like, I have my voice for the people who were like encouraging it. But I'm like, why are they wearing handbags?
And skirts.
Like I get a suitcase I guess like your stuff's not already in the locker room or something. Come on. But the purses.
I know they were, and there were like 10 of them,
and high heels.
Yes, and skirts.
Yeah, and I'm like,
and
really?
I'm sure none of them are Scottish. Like those aren't kilts. Those are skirts.
Very weird. So I was like, oh, that's great. We finally get this far, and now you're going to do this to your fans, like real fans, not the Instagram people who just want to chirp in. You know what I'm saying? It's just there's an agenda behind it. It's like okay, so now 11-year-old boys are like, oh yeah, I need a handbag. Mm-hmm. You know, like, no, you don't.
With Ryan's,
you don't actually have any need for a handbag. You just need to put a little cash in your wallet, call it a day, or your pocket. So yeah, there's all that going on. So we know how dangerous the idolization is. I mean, I wrote down, you wrote down separately different things as far as scripturally. I know Exodus 20 is where the 10 Commandments are, if you want to get real down and dirty. Mm-hmm. Okay, because people always like to say Old Testament versus New Testament. Oh, we don't need to follow the laws because, in the New Testament, it's all about forgiveness, which it is. And, Jesus came back to forgive our sins and things like that. But he never said forget the 10 Commandments or the laws. And the first one being, I'm your, literally, you should have no other gods before me. And then the second one being, you shall not make yourself any carved images or likeness of anything that is in heaven or that is on the earth or beneath the waters, or bow down and serve anyone. Right? So basically, don't have any idols. Yeah. Don't have any other gods. Don't have any idols. And so it's very relatable to this because people literally idolize. I wouldn't say that people are bowing down, but
there's a lot getting on their knees. I'm sure no one's getting on their knees like bowing down to
maybe
Taylor Swift at nighttime. I mean, maybe. I hope not. But
at least people who are somewhat aware of what the Bible says, they're probably not. But there's a vast majority of people who idolize the statues, like the Golden Globes, or what are the different awards shows, like all those types of things. From that level, even just like receiving a trophy. Think about it. People like live their whole life to get some sort of reward or be number one at this or be like, as long as you don't idolize it, it's okay. But if that's your life and that goes before anything else, your love for others and your love for God and your love for others, because it also says in the Bible over everything else, if you love God and you love others, then you shouldn't have any problem.
Right.
If God's your number one, you shouldn't have a problem with anything else, right?
Right.
So, do you have any take on like this, what Scripture says about idols? Or
my biggest thing was taking away like all the notes that I have written down. Like, we have written down here like don't make anything out of carved images and don't make things out of like gold and silver. And for me, again, it just goes back down to like stop conforming to the world, because when I think of that conforming to the world, like you can apply that to any kind of like situation that you may be, whether it be like even 100 years ago, conforming to whatever was popular back then versus now.
Yeah, it's relative to the times.
It's very, very relative. And I feel like when you're conforming, like I said, to be like somebody else, because I feel like that's more of a trend now than anything. Like I feel like these kids are growing up to, I want to be like that over there, or I want to be like that person on TV or this person on stage. And to me, I just feel like we are all made in the image of God. Like why are we straying away from what we should be?
What's even feasible?
Yeah. It's not even realistic to even be like, oh, I want to be like that football player or this basketball player.
They can't comprehend. You almost feel bad for kids because they can't comprehend, like they're not developed enough to understand that there's more to life than that. But then when you see adults living that way, you're like, really? Is your life that sad that's what, that's what you're looking up to? When we were young, you may have had a magazine or a TV show, but now it's full on all day long. And now it's not just celebrities, it's your friends on Snapchat, or it's your our friends on Instagram or Facebook that you're constantly seeing and comparing, and it gets, if it's not just that you're looking up to people who are,
it's also looking up to your friends and everything you do. And I just feel like it's so it's a scary world because there's not a whole lot of control that you can have as far as like what your kids are doing when they're in school and the crimes that they're making and stuff, and what they're being exposed to, and just makes me feel like I need to keep my circle really close and small and keep the people that are like-minded, like you and I, around myself and my kids to keep even like my kids in check.
Well, do you ever wonder how much mental illness would be out there if there wasn't so much pressure all the time? Like I know we spoke about it before, but with men having different, in the last episode we talked about their stress levels. But like, think about it. If our kids are going to school for like 6-7 hours, okay, the pressure of that in itself, and then the kids at school, right? And then they come home and they're getting shuffled, here and there, and then they're not getting a lot of sleep at night because they're staying up late, waking up early. And then same with us. It's women are, working and doing the whole, having to do both jobs a lot of times. And then they're trying to keep up with everything that their kids have to do. And, and dads are working extra because, and everyone's like, go, 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 go. If everybody just slowed down and stopped comparing themselves and stopped being distracted, how much mental, and when I call mental illness, but what other word is there for anxiety, depression, and, like all these other things?
Well, the anxiety also comes from like just always being like on the go, right? Like always worried about what's going to happen next. Where am I supposed to go next? What am I supposed to do next?
Your stress levels are high. Like how much of that would just disappear for like the average person if we didn't,
Yeah, like I even think back when I was a kid too. Like my mom was always working. She was working multiple jobs, or she was working night shift, and like my grandparents or my dad or somebody would have to take me to and from dance classes. So I would get off of school, go right to dance class from 4:00 through 9:00 at night, and then do my homework maybe in between classes or when I get home at 9:00, and then also eat dinner. Like, so if I do that like 4 out of the 7 nights a week, I'm not getting any time with my family or my parents. Like I'm not being influenced.
And then you get mad, but then you get mad at your kids. Like, we've been able to sit down with Pete's been home for dinner. It just his schedule. Okay, if I have to repeat myself, he's a firefighter. He's not always home at night, but he's been home more. And everybody's been all like bajiggity and arguing at the table, and it's like, what the hell is your problem? But when you're out of like rhythm and you're not doing that enough, everybody is out of sorts, right? Like it's a schedule, it's a rhythm, and unfortunately, sitting down all together used to be everybody's priority, right? Back in the day, that was like, you have to be home at this time, or everybody did it. Now it's a rarity, and then you can't really get mad at your kids when, they didn't get their homework done before dinner, or they aren't showered, or that no one's sitting down, everyone's acting crazy. Well, what do you expect?
I know. It makes the homeschool life look really, really appealing when you think about that. It's like, you're missing out on your time with your kids.
I know. Oh, that sad quote that people keep posting about the time you spend with your kids in the first 12 years is like the most time. Yeah, but it's the most time you'll ever spend with them in their whole life. I'm like, my daughter's I'm not letting that happen. I'm like, you're all living next door to me.
Yeah, right.
I'll take in your kids. I promise. Like, I'll do whatever. Just don't leave me. All right. Well, I think we covered a little bit about.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of just scratching the surface a little bit, because like I just feel like this idol worshiping that we see today goes really, really,
it's
really
deep.
It's deep. And I feel like maybe we'll discuss this next time, but like maybe like I just feel like we need to get the word out there too about like the powers that be behind these celebrities and what the real agenda is, like even as far as like demonizing kids, and just it's an ugly hole to go down. You wake up and then you kind of realize like, I don't want any part of this like media televised celebrity thing going on, because it's ugly. It's so ugly.
Well, I mean, if if you don't get the time with your spouse and your families, your kids, your parents, whatever it is, but let's just take the kids into consideration. Someone else is,
Mm-hmm.
right? And if you keep putting them on their phones and devices, someone else is. And then the older they get, the whole scam of, oh, well, they're teenagers now. They don't like me. Well, I didn't really like my mom, I'm sure, when I was a teenager, but she wasn't like, okay, well, then go somewhere else. She was like, sit your ass down and, we're a family, right? You could be uncomfortable
Mm-hmm.
with your kids and be around so those influences don't penetrate. They're still going.
Yeah.
I mean, no one's.
But I feel like if you give your kids more of like a solid, godly presence in their life, I just don't feel like they would be idolizing other things.
I agree. And I also tell my kids the truth, and it's hilarious when they repeat it. I tell them straight up the truth about how I see things, and then whether they just look at me like, what? And then walk away, it doesn't matter because when I hear them tell their friends, what I consider the truth about certain things, which is the truth, it's great, right? You have to be blunt with them, not like, oh, but they're kids, let them believe in this or that. No, absolutely not.
No, I mean, I had a hard time this year of playing like Santa for my 4-year-old because like him and I had talk, and I'm like, I just told him like Santa brings you like all like the presents and stuff, but it's really about Jesus.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I get so tired that I'm like, F this. I'm like, I went and got all this shit. Like, I'm not giving that fat ass the credit. Like, no.
Yeah, right?
I mean, honestly, when I'm for like not ruining, the holidays for them and stuff like that. Like, I'm still gonna go get stuff, but I don't talk about Santa.
No, I don't talk about it either.
If you want to believe that dude just came down the chimney and did it, that's fine. I'm not gonna ruin it for you. But hey, your dad's busy going broke just to put a couple things under the tree, and I'm not going.
Well,
for it.
Society tells us that like we have to keep things like from our kids. It's just it's a whole other whole.
We have the tooth fairy situation. We have a tooth mouse because my husband's from South Africa, and they have a tooth mouse. You put the shoe on the fireplace. The tooth mouse, I guess he builds like a house with the teeth or something.
That's disgusting.
I know.
Okay.
So the kids put the tooth. So Bennett's 11, and he's like, I'm putting the tooth in my shoe. I'm like, well, you better make sure the tooth mouse has money before you do that. Like, the tooth mouse needs another day. Because I can talk to you like that. It's like, I'll do it because he's 11 and he just wants $20 or whatever. But like, I'm pretty, you got to make sure the tooth mouse goes up to Drug Mart and picks up some gummies before you put that tooth in the shoe. I mean, come on.
Oh, that's so funny.
All right. But yeah, I think that the deeper we go, I think, this is a good foundation. We can always
we'll elaborate.
Yeah.
I think a little bit more.
But check out the Taylor Swift. Just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying.
All right, guys.
That was fun.
Yeah.
All right. God bless you, everyone.
See you later.